Hello everyone, myself Dr. Racha from MDS Achiever, and today we will be talking about cephalometry. And cephalometry is a very important topic in orthodontics. Other topics are also important, that includes your fixed appliances, myofunctional appliances, diagnosis, biomechanics. But yeah, cephalometry holds a greater part, and it has a good part because basically cephalometry is a concept based area in the orthodontics. And if you're clear with the concepts that this angle is formed by joining these planes, then you can very easily come to a conclusion that if the angle is increased, then this anomaly can occur. There can be open bite, there can be a deep bite, and this is because of the skeletal changes, this is because of the soft tissue changes. And accordingly you can conclude for the treatment part also. So that's why cephalometry holds a good portion in orthodontics. And second, it is also easy to fetch marks out of cephalometry because it is purely a concept based question. There are no questions that are fact based in it, because you don't have to remember any much of the things. Your concept should be clear. You should be knowing that the average value is this. If it is increased, this anomaly, decrease this anomaly, increase this treatment, decrease this treatment. So basically a concept based and very easy to fetch good marks out of this topic in the exam. And even the case based questions are also solved very nicely if your concepts are clear. So let's start with it. So the first thing that you should be knowing, that the discovery of X-rays was in 1895 by Roentgen. So this is a question that is usually asked from your radiology part. And similarly you have to remember that the cephalometric technique and cephalostat was discovered by Broadbent in 1931. So the year is very important, and the name of the scientist is important, that is usually asked. Next is your cephalogram. Cephalogram can be of two types, and you can very well appreciate from the pictures that it is a lateral cephalogram and frontal cephalogram. So in case of lateral cephalogram, you can have the lateral view of the skull. You can appreciate the features that are present laterally, the landmarks that are present laterally. And in case of frontal cephalogram, you can appreciate the landmarks that are present in front more easily. So basically before any orthodontic treatment, like if a patient comes to the clinic, so we tell them to get both lateral as well as your frontal cephalogram done, and then we go for the basically pre-treatment planning and treatment planning. So first is your cephalogram for orthodontic treatment. And yes, next one more question that is asked is that essential diagnostic criteria according to the Graeber, all of the following except means that would include your case history or facial photographs or periapical x-ray. But cephalograms does not come under your essential criteria. Lateral cephalograms does not come under your essential criteria for the diagnosis part. So the answer will be your cephalogram. Rest are essential, your photographs or periapical x-ray. So this is according to the Graeber. So this kind of question you can find in the diagnosis chapter of orthodontics. So the answer will be your cephalogram. Let's move to the next part, that is uses of the cephalogram. So cephalogram helps basically in orthodontic diagnosis. It helps in the classification of the skeletal and dental abnormalities. That skeletal it is class 1, class 2, class 3. Dental, it is a deep bite, and what is there, protrusion is there, or which abnormality is there. We can very easily appreciate and conclude from the cephalogram. It helps in the treatment planning of an individual, that it is basically because of the skeletal or dental part. So we can on the basis of that we can decide the treatment plan. Yeah, according to the age, yes, we can give the myofunctional appliances, or we should go for ortho treatment, and we should give a fixed appliances, or we should give a retention. So on a cephalometrics we can plan the treatment of an individual. That's why we ask sometimes, rather every time, we ask the patient to get a cephalogram done before they can meet to our orthodontist. Next is for the evaluation of the treatment. Post treatment, again the cephalometric analysis is done, and we try to compare it with the pre-treatment cephalometric analysis, and we can see that yeah, this is the growth, this is the progress, and these are the changes that have come. What you are going to do when you do a task, you just see that this is the present scenario, and when you finish the task, then you see that yeah, this is the new scenario. So you can see the changes or the progress by cephalogram. It helps in getting your growth related changes, and we can see that the changes due to growth are what by the cephalogram, that we can very well see that growth related changes are this one. It helps as a valuable aid in your research work also. So just a simple, nothing much asked from that part, uses of cephalogram, the concept, and you should be knowing. Next is your cephalostat. So this is a machine, and an image based question can come from this part, that which machine is this. So you can very well appreciate that it is a cephalostat. Along with it, there are two ear rods in it, which prevents the movement of the head in a horizontal plane, and for the vertical stabilization there is a pointer. So basically the question is an image based from this part, that which machine is this. Sometimes you get confused that yeah, it looks like an x-ray machine, दिमाग में नहीं click करता है. 80% of the people I know will be clicked by it that it is a cephalostat, but yeah, sometimes there is a little bit of the confusion. So इस question को गलत मार्क नहीं करना है. This is a cephalostat machine. कहीं और दिमाग, जिसने CBCT नहीं देखा है वो इसको CBCT भी मार्क कर सकता है. So you should be knowing that this is a cephalostat. Next is the distance between the X-ray source, that is this one, and the mid-sagittal plane of the patient is going to be 5 feet. Okay, so this value should be clear, that between the X-ray source and mid-sagittal plane it's 5 feet. And another question that usually comes is between how far should a person stand to take a radiograph. That answer is your 6 feet. So this is 5 feet, this is 6 feet. अब पेपर में क्या होता है, याद तो रहता है 5 वैल्यू थी, 6 थी, किसकी 5 थी, किसकी 6 थी. There is a lot of confusion. So you have to remember that the 5 feet is in your cephalogram and 6 feet is in your radiographs. And the distance between the X-ray film and the mid-sagittal plane, that includes your this plane. You have to remember the value. It is 18 centimeter or 7 inches. So this thing should be clear. 18 centimeters, 7 inches, 5 feet, or 60 inches, or 6 feet in that. So inches में भी थोड़ा सा याद रख लेंगे तो आप अपने आप सेंटीमीटर्स कर लेंगे. सेंटीमीटर्स कर लेंगे तो अपने आप फीट आ जाएगा. तो 1 इंच इज अराउंड 2.45 सेंटीमीटर. एक वैल्यू याद रख लीजिए. 5 फीट यहाँ याद रख लीजिए, 6 फीट यहाँ याद रख लीजिए, और 7 इंचज़ यहाँ पर, और 18 सेंटीमीटर ऐसे याद रख लीजिए. द क्वेश्चन विल बी सॉल्व, बट द कंसेप्ट शुड बी क्लियर. इट इज़ बिटवीन द मिड sagittal plane and the film. It is between the person and your X-ray tube and mid sagittal plane of the patient's head, and that is for the radiographs. Next is important cephalometric landmarks that can be identified on a lateral cephalogram. You can I hope so you can appreciate some of the landmarks here. Sella, nasion, porion, articular, gonion, menton, gnathion, pogonion, point A, point B, ANS, PNS, PTM. So this is how it goes. You can see on the lateral cephalogram. And next is here. You can very well appreciate that this is a nasion, and this is your orbital. This is your ANS, point A, point B, pogonion, gnathion, menton, gonion, PTM point, ANS point, PNS point, articular, sella, Porion, Bolton's Pasion. So these are the point, and yeah, the question can come. They can just give you a picture, and they can ask you that which is this landmark, and just tell me the circle landmark is which. So you should be knowing basically, yeah, that this is an orbital, and you can get an idea from the options also. Obviously, if they give you a nasion and marking this area, you are sure that it is not nasion, this is somewhere near the eye, and this is orbital. So, and image based question can come from this part, that which is which. So let's appreciate some of the landmarks here. You can see it is a nasion, and you can see orbital, you can see Porion, you can see Sella here, you can see point A and point B and Basion. So I'll be clearing you the every part now, and you should be knowing 1 or 2 points regarding them. And yeah, let's start with it. So what is nasion is basically the most anterior point midway between the frontal and the nasal bones on the frontonasal suture. Fine, so that is your nasion. Orbital is the lowest point on the inferior bony margin of the orbit. Here. Porion is the highest point on the upper margin of the external auditory meatus. Sella is a point that is representing the midpoint of the pituitary fossa or sella turcica here. And your point A is your deepest point on the midline between the ANS and the alveolar crest. This is point A. Point B, your deepest point on the midline between the alveolar crest of the mandible and your mental process. Okay, so that is your point B. Point B is also known as the supramental, and point A is also known as subspinal. So the question can be asked, what is other name of point A, what is other name of point B? Point A is your subspinal and point B is supramental. Then basion is the median point of the anterior margin of the foramen magnum. This is the area of basion. So थोड़ा थोड़ा सबके बारे में you should be knowing that which part is which one. Next is your Bolton's point or Bolton's plane. It is the highest point on the posterior condylar notch of your occipital bone. Then anterior nasal spine, here you can see, and it is your anterior tip of the sharp bony process of the maxilla in the midline of the lower margin of the anterior nasal opening. So it is anterior tip of the sharp bony process of maxilla. And gonion is constructed here. This is a gonion, and it is constructed point at the junction of the ramal plane and to the mandibular plane. So here it comes the gonion. Pogonion is the most anterior point of the bony chin in the median plane. Here it comes the pogonion. And menton is the most inferior point on the mandibular symphysis. This is known as your menton. And so the question you can get from this area, that which is the most anterior point of the bony chin. Answer will be your pogonion. Sorry. Where are we? Yeah. So the most anterior point on the bony chin is your pogonion. Most inferior point on the midline, menton. Anterior inferior point, gnathion. So these three are the areas where question are asked. बाकी आपको थोड़ा थोड़ा सबके बारे में पता है, so there will not be any problem on it. And next is yours condylion. You should be knowing, condyle पे रहेगा ये. And prostheon you should be knowing. And next is your infradental. So gnathion आपका anterior inferior part होता है symphysis of the chin में. Articular is the point at the junction of the posterior border of the ramus and inferior border of the basilar part of your occipital bone. This is articular. ठीक है, थोड़ा सा मतलब बड़ी टर्म है. At the junction of the posterior border of the ramus and inferior border of the basilar part of occipital bone, पर थोड़ा थोड़ा याद भी रखना चाहिए. And next is your condylion. Is most superior point on the head of the condyle is your condylion. Then your prostheon is the between upper central incisor. So prostheon is also known as your supradental. Infradental is the highest and most anterior point between the two mandibular central incisor. क्वेश्चन इन पे कुछ नहीं आता है अभी तक. द की रिज इज द लोअर मोस्ट पॉइंट ऑन द कंटूर ऑफ द इंटीरियर वॉल ऑफ द इंफीरियर टेम्पोरल फोसा. तो की रिज पे क्वेश्चन आ जाता है कि इट इज़ नियर द इंटीरियर वॉल ऑफ द इंफ्रा टेम्पोरल फोसा. एंड वाई इज इट्स कॉल्ड एज अ की रिज? बिकॉज इट इज़ अ constant. Maxilla is porous in nature, so this is the area which is dense and fixed. That's why it is called as key ridge. PNS is making the distal limit of the maxilla, and broad point is the mid point of the perpendicular from the sella turcica to the Bolton's point. So you can see that this is sella turcica to the Bolton point. So when we'll draw perpendicular from here, so here comes out your registration point. So the question can be asked, what is the registration point? So you should be knowing between sella to the Bolton's plane and the one that is perpendicular to it, it's your registration point. Next is your PTM point. You should be knowing intersection of the inferior border of the foramen rotundum with the posterior wall of the pterygomaxillary fissure. ये रहा PTM पॉइंट. मोस्ट कॉमनली आस्क्ड, क्योंकि सब तो याद रहता है, सबको PTM नहीं याद रहता है कि वो इस पॉइंट पर है. तो ज़्यादातर बहुत ज़्यादा बार क्वेश्चन पूछा गया है PTM पॉइंट मतलब सर्कल एंड विच पॉइंट इज दिस. टेरिगोमैक्सिलरी पॉइंट and between the inferior border of your foramen rotundum and your posterior wall of your pterygomaxillary fissure. Next is your glabella. You should be knowing it is the most prominent point of the forehead in the mid sagittal plane. So यहाँ पर रहता है glabella. आपको पता होना चाहिए कि जो forehead पे most prominent point है that is your glabella. Subnasal is beneath the nose and all that. Next is we'll be talking in this video about the different planes in cephalometrics. So there are horizontal planes and there are vertical planes. If you would be knowing the planes, then the analysis would be easier for you, whether it's down analysis, tweed analysis or Steiner analysis. So in the next video we'll be discussing about down, tweed and Steiner analysis. Fine. So let's start with the horizontal planes first, and it includes your SN plane, Sala-Nasion plane, Frankfurt horizontal plane, palatal plane and occlusal plane. These are horizontal like this. Vertical ones are like this. So we'll be dealing with the horizontal planes. So SN plane is the line from the center of the sella turcica here to the anterior point of the frontonasal suture. This is SN plane. So the question can be asked, which plane is used for further diagnosis to check for the growth, which is most stable? That is your Frankfurt horizontal plane or SN plane. So such kind of question can be asked, and SN plane, upon which we will see different further growth. So this is used as a base. This plane is used as a base, and it represents basically what it is. It represents your cranial base. So SN plane, sella to the nasal plane, represents the cranial plane, and it is the most stable, and it is used as a reference plane to look for the further growth. Next is your Frankfurt horizontal plane, and it moves from porion to the orbital. So the question can be asked, what is Frankfurt horizontal plane? And in the option between the sella, nasion, Bolton, Gnathon, so you'll have to find out the option. It's between porion and orbital, and that will be the answer that is usually asked. Next is your occlusal plane. Is basically a denture plane bisecting the posterior occlusion of the premolars and extended anteriorly. So this is known as your occlusal plane, and not much questions on this part. And your palatal plane is the one which is linking between anterior nasal spine and the posterior nasal spine of the palatine bone. Now you can see it's wrongly given here. It should be ANS. Here it should be PNS. So जब आप books में भी थोड़ी गलती निकालने लग जाते हैं, means you are at some level. So between ANS of the maxilla and PNS of the palatine bone. So next is your mandibular plane. Mandibular plane, this again comes under your horizontal planes, and here we'll be dealing with your tangent to the lower border of the mandible. This is used as a mandibular plane in your tweed. Gonion to the Gnathon, this is used as a mandibular plane in your Steiner analysis, and line connecting gonion to the menton, this is used in your Downs analysis. So which mandibular plane is used in which analysis? This kind of question can be asked. Next is your bastion to the nasion plane, and it again, what does it represent? It represents the cranial base, bastion to the nasion. You have to remember this much only. And next here we come to the vertical planes. So vertical planes are the planes that are vertical in nature. Very clear. It includes your apoge line, facial plane, facial axis, and D plane. Basically these some questions can be asked directly from the planes, which plane is which one. But yeah, these planes can help you in analysis more than what is a straightforward question. That they can tell you that what is the angle between Frankfurt horizontal plane and mandibular plane. So for that you should be knowing what is Frankfurt horizontal plane, what is mandibular plane, what is their normal value. So these all the planes will help you in analysis and coming to a diagnosis. So here we are just covering the planes, and in next video the analysis and diagnosis part of various planes. So here comes your first vertical plane, that is your apoge plane from the point A of the maxilla to pogonion of the mandible. That's it. इतना ही पता होना चाहिए इसके बारे में. And next is your facial plane. You should be knowing that it is from nasion to the pogonion. That's it. इतना ही पता होना चाहिए इसके बारे में. नेजियन टू पोगोनियन तक होता है फेशियल प्लेन. देन फेशियल एक्सिस, अ लाइन फ्रॉम सेफेलोमेट्रिक पीटीएम पॉइंट टू द ग्नैथियन, एंड दिस इज़ योर फेशियल एक्सिस. इसके बारे में कोई क्वेश्चन नहीं आता, ना ये कोई एनालिसिस में हेल्प करती है. नेक्स्ट इज़ योर ई प्लेन और एस्थेटिक प्लेन बिटवीन द मोस्ट एंटीरियर पार्ट ऑफ द सॉफ्ट टिश्यू ऑफ द नोज एंड सॉफ्ट टिश्यू ऑफ द चिन. दिस इज़ नोन एज योर एस्थेटिक प्लेन. तो इस पे कई बार क्वेश्चन आ जाता है दैट योर अपर इंसाइजर कितनी दूर है एस्थेटिक प्लेन से, कितना होना चाहिए, और अगर आगे है तो दैट इज़ प्रोट्रूजन, और अगर पीछे है तो दैट इज़ नोन एज योर retrusion. Fine. So E plane is the most anterior part of the soft tissue of the nose and soft tissue of the chin. So this should be known. And if I can tell you one more thing about E plane, yeah, this much only. Next we'll discuss some question that is asked on aesthetic plane is that usually the upper lip is 4 mm your posterior to your E plane. So if the distance is 2 mm, that means a protrusion is there. We'll be discussing in the next video regarding it कि E plane पे कैसा question आता है. And yeah, the expert in anything was once a beginner. For sure, if you are a beginner, you are going to become expert one day. So keep on moving, keep on studying, and you will be an expert one day. Yeah, so for more demo part, you can contact us at 7657878060, and please do like, share and subscribe our channel also. Thank you. Bye bye.